Hello and welcome to my podcast. Today we're going to be talking about The Conjuring House. So, this one's for you, Zoe, because you're always talking about The Conjuring House. So today we're going to be talking about it. My name is Melissa Snow, and here we go. The story of The Conjuring House is based on the experience of the Perron family who claimed to have encountered paranormal activity in the Rhode Island farmhouse in 1970. The Perron family, consisting of Roger and Carolyn and 5 daughters, moved into the Perron family considering of Roger and Carolyn and her 5 daughters moved into the Arnold estate. 1971, the family experienced a variety of paranormal activity, including poltergeist activity, apparitions, and voices. Bathsheba Sherman, local legend, says that the house was haunted by Bathsheba Sherman, a woman who was rumored to be a witch who sacrificed her children to Satan. Andrea Perron, the oldest daughter, claimed to have been visited nightly, and she later identified it as Bathsheba. Ed and Lorraine Warren, the late paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, visited the house in 1970 to investigate the hauntings. The movie The Conjuring and 2013 horror movie The Conjuring is loosely based on the Perron family's experience, and the movie taken some creative liberties with the story. Andrea Perron's book, Andrea Perron wrote the series of 3 books after her family experience called House of Darkness, House of Light. The documentary of Bathsheba Search for Evil. The documentary features firsthand of the accounts of the Perron family and attempts to separate the fact from fiction. The house was originally built in 1693 and has a long history of hauntings. In 2022, Jacqueline Noon purchased the property and continued to run it for a business. The old Arnold estate, located in Harshville, Rhode Island, is authentic colonial home. 1736, whose paranormal phenomena were made famous by the Conjuring movie in 2013. Despite that the haunted of the Perron family that lived there in 1970, the paranormal past runs deep, as the 1700s, with the spirits of the native tribes remained embedded in the land through the present day, and many spirits who were continued to inhabit the visit the property. The mystical farmhouse offers visitors an opportunity to engage with authentic paranormal activities, as it considered one of the most active paranormal locations in the world. Set on an 8.5-acre, surrounded by stone walls, open fields, and rivers and forests, visitors come from all around the world to observe and connect to the energy here at the Andrea Perron describes as a opening the public Since opening to the public in 2019, thousands of visitors have witnessed, engaged with abundance of supernatural activities presence here. For anyone longing to connect with the other side of existence, is the place to do it. The Conjuring House is a historical treasure with pastoral beauty, providing those who are curious with the experience they will never forget. For some of the experience here can provide the key to understanding in our consciousness, survive death, and we can connect with those who have passed away. Says, our family lived among the dead for decades. The farm, known as the old Arnold estate, was where we all came to understand we are not alone there, and something beyond the mortal extents through none of us can tell precisely what is and where we can go after death. The mystery of life and death after life, and something in it might not ever comprehend fully in the realm, but it is the fascination of the curiosity that keeps us guessing and searching to our most historic question of human existence. As we looked back in retrospect, it seemed to bear that our family was called to this place in the county and country, Harshville Road. My parents bought the place in December of 1970, and we lived there until June of 1980. We experienced continuous paranormal encounters beginning from the day we moved until the day the family moved to Georgia. Having graduated from Beringville High School in 1976, I left the home. In 1880, my mother informed me that she is going to sell the farmhouse was pending. I was heartbroken by the news. Despite the trails, it was home, and I loved it, though we abandoned our place in the country and never left us. In 2007, I began writing the manuscript of becoming the trilogy called The Darkness House of Light, and relocated to Georgia to be with my family and written our story. The task provided to be quiet while we were exhumed our memory. While we exhumed our memories, the death, often painful, it has also been a healing process, as which of us revisited in the past, impacting our present, clearly mapping the future of our family. Many have spoken, written of the farmstead, written about fragments of our story. Now in time to tell the whole truth about what happened in the farmhouse, alive with death, we spent a very illuminating decade living among the spirits in a tales whirling telling become it is true. The Conjuring House land precedes its culinary records by thousands of years, while it was occupied by the Numic and other local tribes prior to Roger Williams purchasing the land as part of the establishment of the culinary of Roadhouse, Rhode Island, and Providence, the colony of Roadhouse Island and Providence plantations, having been expelled from Massachusetts Bay Colony for exposing freedom and religious worship and separating the church and the state. Roger Williams established Providence plantations in 1636, Rhode Island in 1639. Gloverston, New Burlington Road became part of the Providence plantation, including the estate deed in Richard's family and the land and deed in 1680. So it shows like who lived at the house, what ghosts are at the house, why the ghosts are at the house, and who they believed were at the house. Ed and Lorraine Warren came to the house and named one of the ghosts Bathsheba Sherman, and she lived on the property, I guess. And a lot of people go to this place and investigate in the basement and throughout the house. They have an Annabelle doll, a replica of her in the house, and lots of people go to there and some people stay the night and some people don't. Some people take their REM pods, some people take their videos, and some people do their YouTube channels, and some people just go for the fun of it. You can rent out this house, I guess, and you can go and talk to the ghosts and the spirits and the orbs and see all that stuff out there. So in 1970, paranormal investigators and the demonology Ed and Lorraine Warren, Vera Fragma, and Ed Patrick Wilson Warren are summoned to the home of Caroline Lily Taylor and Roger Ron Livingston Perrin. The Perrins and their 5 daughters have recently moved into out the Mainsville are relatively beginning the first event soon escalated horrifying fashion, especially after the Warrens discovered the house's macabre history. So they made a movie about this house. Some of it's on the truth and some of it's not true. And so they looked at the manuscript and they did this house. There's a Conjuring 1, 2, and 3, I think. And there's a bunch of stories about the house. And it's on this farm. It's on this farmland where this family, they owned this property, and Ed and Lorraine Warren established their paranormal group in 1952, predating the events of the Conjuring movie. The Perrin family in The Conjuring was inspired by the real family's haunting experience in Rhode Island. The evil spirits in The Conjuring, Bathsheba Sherman, was based on the real historic figure, exaggerating her death. One of the most successful horror movies of the 20th century, The Conjuring follows the experience of real-life demonology Ed and Lorraine Warren and the investigators' malevolent spirit plagued a Rhode Island farmhouse. Like many popular paranormal horror films, The Conjuring makes a bold claim to be based on the true story. Given the supernatural qualities of the events on screen, some viewers understandably treat such a statement with skepticism, and however, the extent of the movie accuracy up for debate, for the still shook the true story behind the installments of the true Conjuring farmhouse. You're really bothering me. Set in The Conjuring following experience, the Perrin family compromise of parents Roger and Carolyn and children Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. What starts as a mildly paranormal event quickly takes turn for the terrifying and release. There are haunted by the evil Bathsheba Sherman, a witch from the 19th century. Unspringingly, The Conjuring takes liberty with many other real facts around the case, including the experience of the investigated Warrens and the parents. Nevertheless, some interesting and ultimate sinister grains of truth run through both of the 2013 movie and the spooky source of material that inspired it. The Conjuring, Ed and Lorraine Warren, played by Patrick Wilson and Vera Fragma, respectively, entered the house as fully formed as established paranormal investigators. In fact, before the main event, the narrative really began, and the Warrens are shown resolving the additional case involving a cursed doll of the spirit of 7-year-old girl named Annabelle Higgins, a true story which would inspire the Annabelle Conjuring spin-off. Movies will provide some of the background and the Warrens, and despite explaining the full extent of their experience. Long before the events of The Conjuring, in 1971, the Warrens found the New England Society Psychic Research in 1952 when both Ed and Lorraine Warren were in their mid-20s. This led to the parents involving many strange occurrent events, including farm incidents such as the animal haunting and the 18th of the Enfield poltergeist, which has provided inspiration for The Conjuring 2. Over the course of their careers, the Warren claimed to have investigated over 10,000 paranormal cases, including the events of the Perron family home. Via Outlook, The Conjuring Perron family has based on a real family, Harrisville, Rhode Island. Just as shown as The Conjuring, the real Perron family did indeed move into the farmhouse of Rhode Island before experiencing what they claimed were sinister and terrifying paranormal phenomena, and the claims of fairly received of the family's dynamic, which in real Parsons also having 5 daughters. However, The Conjuring did make the important alterations of the house at the center of the story. To the fact of the checker history of Hollywood, the movie actually recreated the version of the farmhouse on soundstage in North Carolina. The real Perron house, which is still standing today in Harrisville, looks very different and doesn't have the impressive multi-story frontage. According to the local news channel NBC Hollywood versus History, the house was long history of remarkable occurrences as outlined in the town farmer public records books and so-called Black Book and Berryville historic tragedies in Warren home included. Alright, I am not allowed to read this on here, but it tells a story about 2 people and 1 person at the farmhouse and a drowning and passing of 5 men who froze to death at the farmhouse. Clearly, these events are not proof of paranormal activity. However, does not show that the backstory explaining The Conjuring is rooted in fact. But whether the supernatural aspect of the story is believable. What happened to the Perron family, Rhode Island? The event, The Conjuring and the Perron family experiences with... Sorry, my cat is up here and I'm trying to get her to stop while I'm telling the story. Unlike the event depths in The Conjuring, Perron family experienced the draw out a particular period, although the movie suggests that the haunting was both incredibly intense, somewhat brief, and a true story is that the family remained in the house for 9 years between 1971 and 1980, eventually selling it for new owners in the first opportunity following financial troubles. Many of these events shown on the film were exaggerated for dramatic effects. However, parents themselves have been extremely forthcoming about the strange events in the experience. The experience reflects that dramatic, terrified events of depicted in The Conjuring. However, the parents' experience wasn't limited to these more theatrical happenings. According to all the interesting and member of families began seeing spirits, including many that were completely harmless. More begin paranormal activity included the sounds of something scraping against the kettle in the kitchen, or a small pile of dirt in the center of the newly cleaned kitchen floor. Yet while the events are somewhat incident, the others were much more sinister, especially those centered around the spirits called Bathsheba. Conjuring, it's fair to say that Bathsheba is the main person in the movie. The movie portrays her as a witch who concluded child sacrifice, stabbing her own baby and declaring her love for the devil. Unscriptedly, the true story of the more nonce. Although the real Bathsheba Sherman did not live on the parents' farm. Okay, I thought she lived there in the 1800s and was purported to the involved in witchcraft. The allegations were never proven, nor trial even took place, and many of the lurid detail providing the conjuring were invented in the movie. However, the parents themselves are no doubt of Bathsheba Sinister's motivations. While the real Bathsheba Sherman association with witchcraft would make her an intriguing historical character, the testimony of the parents only making her more sinister. In her book, based on the family experience titled House of Darkness and Light, Andrea claims that Bathsheba was constantly the most threatening presence during the family's residence in the house. As she told USA Today, how I thought I was going to pass out. My mother began to speak a language not of this world and a voice not of her own. Her chair levitated and she thrown across the room. There is no doubt that the Warrens were heavily involved in going on at the parent house. However, the extent in which I can be said they helped the situation debated. The paranormal activity continued until the family left, and reporting by all the interesting indications that Roger Perron actively kicked the investigation out following the Carolyn possession. However, despite their differences, and the conjuring was made with the blessing of both Lorraine Warren and the parents, highly in their shared experience. All right, that's the end of the Conjuring House. Happy Halloween to everyone. Hope you had a great month, and it is over. And we're on to Thanksgiving and Christmas. I hope everyone has a great time with family and friends, and I will see you again on my next video. You will see me out on the graveyard. I would say cemetery. Oh, I'll let you guys know when that happens. All right, well, this is the end of my story, and I hope everybody liked it and learn more about the Conjuring House. I'm sure there's more to the story, and I will end up having to look it up and then do another video on it. All right, peace out everyone. Have a great Halloween. Stay safe and bundle up because it's freezing out there unless you're in a place where it's really warm. Bye. See you later. Till next time.